all to today's program. Today is Pongal Festival Day. This is being celebrated in India, southern states of India. Also, today is this January 15th is celebrated as Lohri festival in Punjab. It is actually to thank the farmers for their work and also to thank the sun god and the mother earth and also the animals that are attached with this agriculture. This is celebrated in a traditional way in these places. Further, today is Nation's Army Day for India. And this January 15th is the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. And in US, this day is also being celebrated as Bagels Day. Further, we all know that we celebrate New Year on January 1st. That is, this day is celebrated all over the world as New Year Day, 1st January. And in Tamil Nadu, the first day of the first month of Tamil calendar year is the Thai Tirunal, this Pongal Day. So today, we at Tamil Nadu and also in southern states, we are celebrating Pongal. And so all those who have come from these places, I wish them all happy Pongal. Likewise, in spirituality too, we have certain important days, datas. Hope you are all eager to know what these datas are and also about the science of the divinity. We have with us Professor Jayaprakash Goel from Singapore to speak on the subject data science and the science of divinity. A small introduction about Professor Jayaprakash Goel. Professor Jayaprakash Goel is basically a software engineer and he is working as an associate director in a renowned accounts company in Singapore. He is into Sky Yoga for the past 25 years. He is one of the executive committee members of Sky Society Singapore. He is doing a wonderful service through Sky Society Singapore to people in and around Singapore. Welcome, Professor Jayaprakash Goel. The floor is yours. You can start your speech.
Valga Valamudan. Be blessed by the divine. Thank you, Bharti, Professor Bharti, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Wish you all happy Lohri, Makar Shakrati, and Pongal. A very good afternoon and good evening to my dear guests and Vethathirians. Okay, let me share my slide. Speech. In today's speech, I'm going to talk about, or rather I'm going to correlate data science and the science of divinity, just to give a kind of perception, though it cannot be correlated, just for our understanding per se. Thank you. Let's start with some basics. And we'll start with data science. In data science, data is a core component. What is data? Data is raw, unorganized facts that need to be processed. Data can be something simple and seemingly random. and useless until it is organized. And the next component is information. When data is processed, organized, structured, or presented in a given context so as to make it useful, it is called information. Basically, data on its own does not make any sense, but when it is processed in a given context, it is of much use to us. Let's take an example. Of this flyer or the banner. It consists data such as title, date, time, presenter, Zoom ID, and password. Apart from title, if some of the information is missing, probably you wouldn't have been able to join this session. But if I just take date and say 15th January, it doesn't make any sense on its own. And say, for example, I take time, 6:30 p.m., Indian Standard Time, still doesn't make any sense out of its own. So together it forms an information and it is of great use to us. When this information is shared with others, they may benefit. Sky Yoga and Digital Solutions WCSC is conducting such sessions weekly, and one such great session was conducted last week by Professor Indra Selvam, and her topic was World of Blessings. She gave good insights about the power of blessings. In my later slides, we'll go through what are the other benefits of information. If I take the date 15th January, that is 01, and the year 2023, it's made up of 3 components: day, month, and year. You can call them as individual components, you can call as datum. Let's take date 15, 1-5, and let me take a digit of that particular date as 5. It is made up of, in a binary format, it's represented as 1, 0, and 1. We know that computer is an electronic device and uses binary code to execute information and perform operations. Additionally, all data stored on the computer is also represented in binary code, that is 0 and 1. This includes all your text files, your Word files, your PowerPoint presentations, your images, audios, videos, and all sort of data. Anything that gets stored in a disconnected computer gets stored in your storage device, including your operating system. Even those files are data. And nothing else gets, and it doesn't get stored anything else apart from your storage device. This reminds me of absolute space, where everything is contained in it, right from a smallest particle to the mightiest planet is contained in the absolute space. Let's see how. Absolute space is best stored with a self-compressive force. When this force keeps pressing on itself, due to this pressure, it crumbles into tiny, innumerable formative dust. This formative dust, again, because of the surrounding pressure of the absolute space, is forced to group. These groups are called as energy particles. The association of formative dust gives rise to energy particles. It is the first element that came into being at the time of creation of universe. It is the source of all other elements, and that all matter is formed from it. Atoms are formed through association of energy particles. Air is made up of hydrogen, helium, and nitrogen atoms. Air is the second element of Panchabhutas. Oxygen can burn, hence it is classified as heavy air. It forms the third element, the fire. When 2 parts of hydrogen and oxygen, 1 part of oxygen, associate, it becomes water. The formula we all know is H2O. Water is the 4th element in Panchabhutas. Solids are formed when the atoms comes together in a tight formation. Solid is the fifth element in Panchabhutas. We all know right from the tiniest particle in the universe and to the mightiest planet is all formed through the association and combination of Panchabhutas. Let's go back to data science. I'll give you a quick demo. I'm dropping one of the image in a Google website. And see, the moment I drop that particular image, it gives me the information about, in this image is just the temple of consciousness. Nothing else has been described in this image, but it is processed. This processing is called as artificial intelligence. And when I click on image source, it takes me to the place where I can read about the temple of consciousness. Isn't this amazing? This is not possible without data science. Data science. Data science is a rapidly growing field that uses scientific methods and tools to analyze and extract knowledge and insights from complex data structures such as structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Your structured data comprises of your in-house company databases, Excel files, etc., which we'll look into it in the next slide. Why do we need data science? Data science has become increasingly important in recent years due to the explosion of data being generated and collected by businesses, governments, and other organizations. Let's see a small short video about the amount of data being collected.
We all use smartphones, but have you ever wondered how much data it generates in the form of texts, phone calls, emails, photos, videos, searches, and music? Approximately 40 exabytes of data gets generated every month by a single smartphone user. Now, imagine this number multiplied by 5 billion smartphone users. That's a lot for our mind to even process, isn't it? In fact, this amount of data is quite a lot for traditional computing systems to handle. And this massive amount of data is what we term as big data. Let's have a look at the data generated per minute on the internet. 2.1 million snaps are shared on Snapchat. 3.8 million search queries are made on Google. 1 million people log on to Facebook. 4.5 million videos are watched on YouTube. 188 million emails are sent. That's a lot of data. So, how do you classify any data as big data?
So you saw how humongous the data population is. Data science has the ability to effectively analyze and interpret this humongous data, provide valuable insights, and help organizations, governments make better decisions, improve operations, drive innovations, and solve real-world problems. Some of the roles in data science are data analyst, machine learning engineers, deep learning engineers, data engineers, and data scientists. The process involved in data science is first is data acquisition. That is collection of data. Data is collected from various sources, starting from your organization's database, data files such as Excel, PDF. It can also come from the social media. It can also come from your PDF files, your Word documents, and any online web repositories, which you call as cloud these days. And these data are structured data, which we can make sense easily, which are like companies' database or Excel files. Semi-structured data are your emails and PDF documents. Unstructured data are your audios, videos, and photos. Trust me, it's too difficult to analyze unstructured data. This data, after collection, has to be prepared before it can be used. This goes through the process of data cleansing and data transformation. Now, the data that we have collected comprises of duplicate values, missing values, and those which we may not need at all. So we have to eliminate at this stage. And we also need to transform some of the data so that it makes a meaning purpose for us. For example, a gender in one of the data collection is written as M, but our system can understand only male. So we need to transfer M to male and F to female. We then need to analyze data. This is a very important stage. If we fail to analyze properly, the result produced will be false or wrong. The next comes modeling. The data has to be modeled. So modeling is a process of visual representation so that we can understand the data, correlate the data, find a relationship between the data, and organize the data in a way where we can use it. For example, this is a customer and supplier database where we have the customer information, their addresses, orders, and we have suppliers provide our products, and there is a customer order status and customer order items. These are all the tables in a database, and the lines in between define the relationship between the data entities. Now, when we have the data, model is ready. Now this data has to be visualized to make sense. For example, there can be reports which can be developed in Tableau or Power BI, which can be sliced and diced using pie charts, your bar charts, your line diagrams, etc. A data in a wording format or in a kind of rows and columns doesn't give so much of meaningful insights as compared to graphs and charts. The next is we need to deploy this model to production and keep maintaining it, because the data change over a period of time and this has to be maintained. Some of the tools that is used in data sciences are for data collection and data ingestion. We use SQL Server, Cassandra, and Hadoop. Now, apart from these tools, this humongous amount of data is stored. Sometimes it is stored in your computers. It is stored in data lakes. It cannot be just stored in one physical hard disk. It needs to be stored in data warehouses, data lakes, and sometimes it goes beyond and it's stored in, we call as cloud. And there are data cleansing and mining technologies that such as Spark, Talent, even using your Excel file, and data exploration and visualization can be done with Power BI and Tableau. Data analysis can also be done with the Power BI, Tableau, etc., and other tools. Some of the benefits of data science: genomic data provides a deeper understanding of genetic issues. For example, this provides information about vaccines, whether vaccines are suitable for young children, older generations, and whether certain countries also have certain kind of restrictions on using those vaccines. So genomic data provides such information about genetic issues. And this is possible using data science. Data science also helps logistic companies to discover the best time and the route for delivery. Data science can help airline companies to predict flight delays and notify passengers. These are some of the benefits of data science, and the benefits are innumerable. Now let's go to science of divinity. Now the science of divinity in my speech is limited to Vethathiriam, the concepts of Vethathiriam. Vethathiriam is philosophy of life. Now I'm making a comparison but it's not exactly. You'll see how it is, how the process of data science works and how the process of science of divinity works. Before we go into defining the problem, let's read something about the purpose of science. The purpose of science is to understand and explain the natural world through observation, experimentation, and reasoning, to develop new technologies and practical applications to provide a framework for critical thinking and problem solving. So the purpose of science is to solve the problems. And what is the science of divinity, or what is the problem statement and goal? Understanding the ultimate truth, or Brahman, or the absolute space, which is seen as a ground of all, that is the omnipresent and the source of all consciousness. And what is the goal? The goal is to realize one's own true nature as identical to this ultimate reality, or the ultimate truth, which means one should not have ego and the 6 cardinal sins. Lead a virtuous life, purity in thoughts, pleasant words, and righteous actions. And practice forgiving, forgetting, and blessings your near and dear ones, that is your spouse, your children, your friends, your relatives, your siblings, your colleagues, and those you consider as your enemies. We need to bless them in particular so that the relationship will improve in due course. And of course, bless the world at large. The next most important is we have to purify the genetic center, because God is equal to man with impurities. The moment we minus off the impurities, we become God. That is, we become in line or at a state with God. Now let's see. Now we have defined the problem statement and the goal. The goal is realization. Now, what is the source of imprints? We collect our imprints right from hereditary, from our parents, great-grandparents. Do you believe it? For example, if someone threatens you, someone snatches your hand, what do you do it? You go and bite. So this is, we call it as animal instinct, right? We get imprints from the food that we eat. We have sattvic food, rajasic food, and tamasic food. If you eat right kind of food, that is the sattvic food, your mind will stay calm, your deeds will be good. Thoughts, that is something most important. Bad thoughts produce bad imprints. Your actions, your bad actions, of course, it's karma, will have bad imprints. Sometimes we have radiations from planets, which also creates an imprint in our genetic center. And because of natural calamities, there's a disturbance in the environment, and it also creates some kind of imprints. For example, we may fall sick during a cyclone. One of my friends was saying, you must be kidding. We get imprints from hereditary, or right from our childhood till date. But sometimes we don't even remember where we have kept our keys and our snacks. You must be kidding. Say, for example, when we see any object, for example, a cow in this, the image of the cow gets compressed and gets converted into a characterized biomagnetic wave. And when this wave reaches the genetic center, it gets stored there. When someone calls cow, or you see a similar cow on the road, the imprint that was stored in the genetic center gets retrieved and gets expanded in the brain. Now you realize where did you saw the cow, the color of the cow, and what the cow was doing at that point in time. So like all our data is stored in hard disk, or some kind of storage devices. All our imprints are stored in genetic center. Can we retrieve all the information that we have stored in genetic center? Is it possible to retrieve all the information? The answer is yes and no. Our system works something like a gramophone record. If we record a song at 45 RPM, and later when we play the same song at 65 RPM, the sound produced will be absurd, false, or distorted. In short, we'll not be able to enjoy the song. Each of our experiences gets stored in our genetic center with the associated frequency. When the mind touches a particular frequency, the experience is retrieved and reflect in our brain as thoughts. Similar thing happens for students. When they are at home, they find a calm corner and sit and study for the exam. When they go to, and probably during the time period, the mental frequency is around 20 cycles per second. Later in the examination hall, when they are tensed and their mental frequency is say between around 25 cycles per second, they may not be able to recall what they have studied. But if they try to remain calm, they'll start recalling what they have studied at home. So the answer is yes and no, because yes, we can retrieve all the information stored in the genetic center, but it is associated with the frequency. So mind has to be that particular frequency to get the information. Now, the third process in the science of divinity is, like in data science is the preparation of data, in the science of divinity is preparation of ourselves. Once you are in this path of spirituality and you are inclined in realizing the purpose of your birth, you need to prepare yourself for the journey. And Vethathiri Maharishi and Vethathiri has taught wonderful techniques, simplified exercises, meditation, and introspection to prepare ourselves. The next important thing is analysis of our thoughts. Thoughts are like river, it keeps on flowing, and we have different kinds of thoughts coming into our mind then and there. So we need to analyze our thoughts and streamline on the thoughts for better living. And we have to model through introspection. The next is modeling through introspection. After analyzing of our thought, we have to put in effort to moralize our desires. Having unreasonable desires can lead to miseries. So we need to moralize our desires. Swamiji does not advocate we have to give up all the desires. So we have to moralize it. The next step in introspection is neutralization of anger. We cannot eradicate anger, so we have to neutralize it. As and when we get angry, there are ways and means taught in Vethathiri to neutralize it. The next is eradication of worries. So if we were worried, what happens? We get into depression, we get anxiety. And we all know what happens when we go into the state of anxiety. So with introspection, we should be able to eradicate our worries. And we have to put in effort to realize who we are. We have to ask this question for our spiritual progress. The next is purification of genetic center. We need to get rid of all the bad imprints to merge ourselves with divine. To purify the genetic center, there are three processes, which is called expiation, dissipation, and neutralization. Expiation, for example, a person was carrying a tea from a shop. Accidentally, you dropped his tea. As an expiation, you can buy him another cup of tea. In a way to say sorry and rectify the error that happened. Dissipation is superimposing. Say, for example, I'm getting a bad thought. Someone did something bad to me and I want to retaliate. At that point in time, I should superimpose the bad thought, the anger with, I need to superimpose with a pleasant or a better thought so that I shouldn't get angry. Neutralization, by doing meditation and introspection practices, we can go our energies to a certain level during thurium state, wherein it is possible to merge with the divine and get rid of those imprints which were accumulated through past generations. And it also helps us to not create new bad imprints. Because once you merge with the divine state, you will not harm anybody, knowingly and unknowingly. Let's take one example of how to use introspection. Say, for example, I have some bad negative thoughts. My boss, for example, let me take number 4, magnifying the negative. My boss gave me bad feedback. I think my career is ruined. So as an introspection practice, what I can do is I can sit in meditation, remain in silence, and write down what the bad thought is. In this case, my boss gave me a bad feedback. I think my career is ruined. So now I should sit and analyze what's the root cause. I realized that in my previous feedbacks, the boss gave me a good feedback. So there's nothing personal with my boss. Probably the last project that I did was of not that good of a quality. That's the reason I got a bad feedback. And write down the ill effects. If I continue with this bad quality of work, probably I may lose my job. So I have to superimpose my thoughts, saying that hereafter I will strive my best to give a good quality job. Then we have to visualize. Visualization is very much important, that work delivered is good quality and superimpose with positive thoughts. So the next step is set an example, set an example for others to follow by modeling yourself, and then teach and preach others so they can also benefit from this wonderful Vethathirian system. And last but not least, keep practicing. With this, I would like to conclude with a message. Many great scientists were also great philosophers. Einstein said, "Science without philosophy is lame. Philosophy without science is blind." Thank you. Thank you very much for providing such a wonderful opportunity, because both the subjects, data science, is dear to my heart because of my profession. I'm a software engineer by profession, and I'm a Vethathirian. So the science of divinity is again dear to my heart. Thank you, WCSC, Veva, and Digital Solutions of WCSC, and Balachandraya and Vishwalingamaya. Thank you very much. Be blessed by the divine, and back to Professor Bharati.
Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a wonderful lecture about this science, data science and science of divinity. That is, you well explained what this data science is. That is, you need to understand the problem, and then in the divinity of science, that is, you need to work out on it, how to solve the problem, and that way you have just given a synopsis of our sky yogas techniques, and you have well explained all the 4 aspects of sky yoga: meditation, introspection, sublimation, and perfection, to say. Thank you so much, sir. Dear friends, it was